Hello and welcome back to coverage of the two-slot RCQ here at the home store of Apex Gaming, Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Todd Anderson, aka Tandy, and we got...
I'm Ross Hunnins, aka Ross Merriam.
Yeah, welcome back to the stream. We've had 2 full days of awesome modern action. We have one crown champion from the Invitational yesterday. The RCQ today is looking for 2 winners to punch their ticket to Atlanta, Georgia in a few months for DreamHack Atlanta for the regional championship. We got 4 players left and only 2 tickets to give away. Ross, why don't you run down the matchups and tell us who's playing who?
Okay, so on one side of our bracket, we've got Kyle Hodar, who we just watched in the last round defeat Jeffrey Hicks. He is playing Yawgmoth against Kevin Huang, who we saw during the Swiss obliterate a control player, just grind them into dust, playing 4-color elementals. So that should be a long, grindy matchup. A really close, could go either way. We're going to leave that one on the back burner, maybe get to it a little bit later. And we're going to watch Chase Swick, who you just saw as the backup match last round, defeat Max Taylor on Zoo. He's playing the 4-color Omnath, no elemental variant. And then he's going to be playing against Josh Waddell on Tron, who defeated our other Yawgmoth player. So all the rogue strategies losing in the top 8. This is the cream of the crop when it comes to modern. A lot of 4-color and a lot of decks that are designed to beat 4-color.
Yeah, there hasn't been a ton of Tron running around lately, but I think this is the prime time for it to come back because big mana decks are how you attack these value town mid-range strategies. And I think that something like Karn Liberated or Karn the Great Creator can really go over the top of these decks and really put them in their place. You know, they've been kind of feasting on these Murktide decks and these control decks and aggro decks, and now it might be time for a reckoning.
Yeah, now it might be time for Ugin.
Oh, Eugene. All right, well, our players are pretty close to being ready, so we're going to go and head down to the feature match area, and when they are good to go, we're good to go. So as far as seeding is concerned, do we know who's on the play and who's on the draw in our first matchup here in top 4?
Our higher seeds were actually 4-0 in that quarterfinal round. So this is the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds. So it's going to be Chase Swick as the 1 seed on the play in the match you see here. Our 4-color control player, 4-color Omnath. Josh Waddell is going to be on the draw.
All right, before we get started, I want to shout out our sponsors, Luxury Playstyle. You can check out luxuryplaystyle.com for premium tokens made of precious metals. If you want to flex on your friends at F&M or the Commander table, make sure to check out luxuryplaystyle.com. Thanks to G Fuel Energy Formula for sponsoring us as well. Make sure to juice up with G Fuel today. Wings, etc. is also a sponsor. Grill and Pub. Ross and I have eaten there the last 2 nights in a row. There's one right next to our hotel. It's been pretty fun. Good food, good friends, and it's been a great time, and I'm looking forward to going there again right after the tournament is over. I'm going to get me some wings, some french fries, tossing maybe some salt and vinegar. We'll see.
I'm definitely running back those Caribbean jerk fries.
Caribbean jerk fries, that sounds delightful.
I might do it with tater tots this time.
That sounds good.
Caribbean jerk tater tots. Waddell has taken a mulligan, but I think may have kept 6, which means
got
a really good 6.
Yeah, he's on 6. We got to put one back. And whenever he does, we'll figure out who's going to start the game off. So Chase Swick is playing the 4-color elementals deck. We'll get the graphic fixed for you in just a second. It's kind of cut off there a little bit.
Swick is 4-color non-elementals.
Non-elementals. Does have the Omnath. Probably playing the more control. I mean, we'll pull up the list. He's playing like counter spells and stuff, right?
4 counter spells. So that's going to be really important in this matchup. Has Eladamri's Call instead of Traverse the Ulvenwald. 4 prismatic endings, so can potentially break up those early expedition maps or chromatic stars. That could all be relevant, and got some dress downs in the main. That's interesting. You don't see that one that often. Also has an Emrakul the Promised End in the main. If this match goes long, that could be a relevant one.
Yeah. All right, well, looks like we're starting the game here. Chase Swick on the play, going to go ahead and fetch. He is main phasing the fetch lane. You have to imagine that's going to be a turn 1 abundant growth. Not a whole lot of turn 1 plays, especially on a dry board.
Yeah, gets his snow basic, makes his Ice Fang Quaddles a little better. Not super relevant in this matchup, but
Is there anything more pure than a double-sleeved 80-card Yorion deck? It's like Bambi, you know? It's like a baby on the lawn.
That is the exact opposite of what I would describe as pure. The pure thing for me would be an unsleeved 40-card limited deck.
Oh, that's fair. No, but that's not pure. That's brutality. Right? Because you are down to clown with those unsleeved cards just jamming on tables. You got screws popping on the table, and you're just sliding your cards around, grinding on it.
It's an MH2 draft, and you have a foil Ragavan, and it's like,
I'm going to sign one of those.
Don't want to spend the $10 on sleeves.
Yeah. All right, Waddell here goes turn 1 Urza's Tower into Expedition map, so potentially has that turn 3 Tron if he has the second Tron piece.
But does Swick have a prismatic ending for the map? That could be huge.
He just pointed at the map, so it's possible that that's what he's fetching for here. Turn 2 prismatic ending is a great way to break up the Expedition map draws when you're on the play against Tron.
But the main phase fetch suggests that he's using both of his mana this turn.
Well, it could be March of Otherworldly Light. We don't. I know the deck is fairly large. His 80 cards after all. A lot of different cards.
And double sleeved.
Yeah.
And no March of Purifying Lights, it looks like, in the list. So it's prismatic ending or bust, but there's the full 4 copies.
Well, Chase is looking for a land off of this Flooded Strand. Couldn't figure out what to get. Now is looking for something here. The Abundant Growth gives him access to all 5 colors, but the Flooded Strand can get anything that's blue or white on half of it.
Yeah, it can get basically any land in the deck other than the mountain. I'm not even sure there is a mountain.
There's usually one of each basic, just in case, but the Abundant Growth makes the mana base a lot more smooth.
Yeah, there's not even a mountain. The forest was already fetched. I'm pretty sure this Flooded Strand gets every remaining fetchable land in the deck.
All right, well, Breeding Pool is found. We're going to shock down to 16, and we'll see what Chase's answer to the Expedition map is, if anything. It could also just be holding up for Counterspell, but you have to imagine that Waddell is heavily incentivized to go for a crack of the Expedition map, so we're just going to see exactly what Swick has. 2 mana, tapped here, main phase. Could be a Ren 6.
Okay, just has the Ren. That makes sense. Yeah. Unfortunate for Swick to not have the prismatic ending for that map. That would have completely changed the texture of this game.
All right, brings back one of those fetch lands, and now we're back to Waddell. Turn 2. Does he have the Tron land to go for turn 3 Tron? It looks like maybe just a forest at hand.
I think there's a land behind it, but that looks like a Sanctum of Ugin to
I was going to say the same thing. It's hard to tell sometimes with those colorless lands, but me and you are right on the same page there.
Yeah, when it's not a weird frame from a reprint set, I'm usually pretty good.
So this might be a moment to resolve a Sylvan Scrying. That way you can go get the 3rd Tron piece and not be vulnerable to the hard counterspell.
Yeah, just set up for the turn 4 Tron. I also think there's one of Urza's Saga that Waddell is playing in his hand. Ooh. And that could actually be quite good in this matchup that becomes grindy. Mm-hmm. But a little bit of a slow start with a turn 4 Tron hand instead of turn 3. Knowing the matchup for Waddell, that's probably not a big deal.
He definitely has time. The problem is the more time you give the 4-color control deck, the more copies of Counterspell and various other interactive pieces they're going to find. Now, with that said, the control deck here on the left side of your screen is going to be more focused on interacting with creatures and not so much with lands or non-creature effects. So, outside of actual 4 copies of Counterspell, I'm interested to see what Swick actually has to beat this Tron deck other than just a fast clock.
Swick there with the no play. I saw an Abundant Growth in hand. I was expecting to see that come down so you would get a chance to top deck the Prismatic Ending.
Well, maybe he wants to use all 3 mana either to hold up Counterspell or to maybe cycle a Triome or something during the end step.
Yeah, has to have something to use this 3 mana on. I think cycling Triome might be it. Which is definitely a reasonable play here. It uses your mana more efficiently. You've got the Ren to keep rebuying it. Plenty of lands around.
All right, there's a green card in Waddell's hand that I am actually not sure what it is. I don't know if you want to help me figure it out. When he flashes his hand,
I think I saw an Endurance in his hand. That might have been it.
Might have been an Endurance. Okay.
There is a 1 of Endurance in the deck. Not great in this matchup, but I could see Swick prioritizing that because he wants to get some pressure. He knows the Tron deck, is one of the few decks that has a late game that can trump his. So taking a more aggressive tack to this matchup than he would in most others.
All right, here comes end of turn fetch. And it looks like we're going to have something for 3 mana. It's just Endurance. Endurance is just going to be a 3/4 body. Going to put the Sylvan Scrying back on the bottom of the deck, but no real harm or foul. We're going to keep using that as our pressure point while we dig for more interaction.
Okay, we've paused for some reason. Is Judge talking? We have double green.
Yep.
Yeah, everything's fine. That's a Misty Rainforest. Not going to help. It looks like a couple of Solitudes in hand, too. This is not a great hand against Tron. I think Swick might have kept this on the power of Ren and 6. Basically, any matchup you want to have turn 2 Ren and 6.
Yeah, especially on the play. Just make sure he hits all your land drops. It's pretty good stuff.
So we'll cantrip with the Abundant Growth now on the Misty.
Okay, and draw a card. Now that Misty doesn't deal him damage anymore, it can tap for any color mana, becomes a utopia, if you will.
Doesn't need that fetch land to work with Ren and 6, so we're good to just turn it into an actual mana producing land.
All right, Waddell here with the Expedition map. We'll be able to assemble Tron next turn and have 8 mana. I'm curious what the play is going to be. Let's see if he has a payoff here. And if he does, let's see if Chase has the answer. And attack for 3 and pass the turn.
Find our last Tron land here. So 8 mana. We could go for an Ugin. We could go for a Karn Liberated, Karn the Great Creator. A lot of options. And Waddell's threat base is actually very spread out. Has 1 Walking Ballista, 1 Golos, 1 Thragtusk, 2 Wormcoil, 1 Kozilek Butcher of Truth, 1 Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger, 2 Ugin, 3 Karn Liberated, 1 Ugin the Ineffable. And
Love that.
And 4 Karn the Great Creator.
Sometimes.
So there's a ton of different possibilities here coming up in these turns.
They may call him ineffable, but I think Ugin is effable. That's all I'm going to say. I made my director laugh. That's all I care about. That's all I wanted. I just wanted 1 giggle.
Don't make me bonk you, Todd. We're close to the end.
Yeah. Look, no one can call me out on it because, it's just true. Objectively. All right, 8th mana source here from Waddell, completing Tron. Let's see what he's got. 3 mana here. So maybe start with Oblivion Stone. That's kind of a juicer.
Yeah, Oblivion Stone, hit the Ren and the Endurance. That looks good. It looks like the Walking Ballista is in hand too.
Yeah, it also blows up 2 copies of Abundant Growth too, which with all these basics fetch might actually just mana screw Chase Swick and colors. So
and makes the Orion much worse. So yeah, definitely an underrated aspect of O Stone, getting rid of these Abundant Growths.
All right, we're gonna have a response here. Oblivion Stone is the cast. Does Chase Swick have a counterspell? Has a Ice Fang Waddell in response. Let's see if he draws anything to deal with the Oblivion Stone, or if Waddell has already resolved it. It's unclear exactly if it's on the battlefield yet.
What are we hoping to draw off of that Ice Fang Waddell?
I think we just cast it because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, and might as well cycle it. That's fine.
If it dies, it dies. But we're going to blow this up during upkeep. This is actually going to make it so that the Abundant Growths go away too, and that's going to make it so the mana base is a little bit more wonky here. Yeah. But still with the fetch land untapped, can fetch Steam Vents or something to unlock the 4th color of mana.
And no real interaction here from Chase Swick. So with Tron online, I don't see this going well. We're going to have to find some counter spells pretty quickly and reestablish a clock. That looks like a Windswept Heath, maybe?
All right. It looks like, the Red and 6 just made him flush full of lands, and he's got a bunch of Solitudes in hand, so... unless it's actual counterspell, I don't know that it's actually doing a whole lot of anything.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this was a 7-card keep from Chase Swick. Now at this point has drawn 6 more cards, 2 from the Abundant Growths and 4 from draw steps, so hasn't really seen much in those 6 draws, but didn't start with a ton to be excited about for this matchup. No prismatic ending for the early map, no counterspells. Had the Endurance, which is nice to be able to apply pressure, but that and the Ren was about it, and Waddell has pretty easily dealt with that initial wave of threats and is now starting to cast a wave of his own.
Yeah, gonna follow up here. I believe that's a Wormcoil engine. I believe I called it right when we saw that earlier in the day. Well, and
Chase Swick is thrilled to see Wormcoil engine because he wanted to cast a Solitude this turn anyway.
Yeah,
to get pressure down. So if he gets to exile a threat with it too. Yeah, that is just A-okay.
It's the Planeswalkers that are really the big draw for Waddell, or those big Eldrazi that have the cast triggers, that get around the counter spells. But no matter what it is, if it's a creature, the Solitude should be able to handle it. Yeah. Waddell here, casting that Wormcoil engine on a relatively dry board, has the Saga potentially for next turn, making some of those Construct tokens, but we're going to have that hard cast Solitude here almost assuredly to exile the Wormcoil and start beating down.
Yeah. Notably, Chase Swick, because of the Abundant Growths going away, now has to fetch for a bunch of untapped Shocklands, putting himself to 9 here, and there's a Walking Ballista in Waddell's hand, so be not careful. That Walking Ballista could just end the game. Yeah. That said, the Solitude is hard cast, so it's going to stick around and gain some life when it attacks. So.
Yeah. Judge points out that the Wormcoil is exiled, so we're going to go ahead and fix that and put it in the exile zone. Solitude also going to attack and gain 3 life back, so...
Yeah, I believe that is a counterspell drawn for Chase Swick, and not a moment too soon.
Well, it's either a counterspell or, was it Second Sunrise? Or it's not Second Sunrise, the Approach of the Second Sun. There's like alternate versions of it that look very similar. So here comes a Teferi down. That's actually going to threaten to bounce the Urza Saga, and that's going to slow it down and make it a non-threat. And then an attack from Solitude is going to put Chase back up to 12 and protect his life total from that Walking Ballista.
Yeah. Was waiting to see if we had another blue source. Pretty sure we had with all the fetch lands that got returned by Ren. There's a Flooded Strand. The basic island is still in the deck, so if Chase wants to protect his life total a little bit more, he can get the island to cast a counter spell on whatever Waddell's next threat is, should he desire to do so.
Waddell's fetching with map here. Can we check and see if Waddell actually has Cavernous Souls in the 75? I'm curious if he has one in the main deck that he can get.
I do not believe he does. I think his utility lands, because he has the Cascading Cataracts.
Got it.
Some
of the mono green Eldrazi deck or mono green Tron decks from back in the day would play one Cavernous Souls and name whatever Ballista is, Construct, or whatever, and just kill their opponent through a million counter spells with Ballista. And, but another Urza Tower is going to give him a ton of mana, so if he's able to draw one of those big Eldrazi, could resolve a big effect through a counter spell here.
Yeah, Waddell's got the Urza Saga that we've seen, a Sanctum of Ugin, a Cascading Cataracts for his Golos, and a Blast Zone for utility lands. Yeah. Only 2 basic forests, notably.
Shaking his head here. Waddell keeps drawing mana. Normally in a Tron deck, you don't mind drawing mana, but at this point, just needs some sort of threat. Already has the Sanctum of Ugin. I don't think he has a payoff yet, but it looks like maybe he does. He has the Walking Ballista.
Yeah.
That's the green card in hand. I can't tell what it is. It kind of looks like a Muscle Sliver, but I honestly have no clue.
Green card in Waddell's hand.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think it was Endurance. You said it was Endurance. I don't think it was Endurance, but regardless, here's a big Walking Ballista.
It's definitely not Endurance. Endurance is in Swick's deck. Waddell, that's probably an Ancient Stirrings or a Sylvan Scribe.
Okay, maybe an alternate art. So Walking Ballista coming down here. This creature, iconic in the game of Magic, reprinted in Double Masters recently, but banned in Pioneer for being too powerful alongside the likes of Heliod and Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. Really dominant in that format with all that excessive mana generation and that 2-card combo in the mono-white Devotion deck.
Yeah. And with the tower that he found off the map, that Ulamog is castable next turn, but this Walking Ballista is enough of a threat to draw the 1 counter spell from Swick. Walking Ballista is going to be able to deal with that Solitude and that Teferi while sticking around with 1 extra counter. So, Swick, I'm sure, wants to have a counter spell for that Ulamog, but is instead going to have to use it on the Ballista, though he does have a second Solitude. So actually, this lines up well. You're going to lose 2 permanents, the Ulamog trigger, but you can Solitude it after floating the mana and exile that.
Well, we have confirmation from chat, Ross. Chat was able to use their sleuthing skills and tell me what the card in hand was. And I'm going to give you one hint, and that's that you got to bring 2 spears.
What?
You got to bring 2 spears, Ross.
Is that the Thragtusk?
It is the Thragtusk. It's a cool picture of Thragtusk. Good call. Good call. All right. That's
the actual picture.
Yeah, that's the old picture of Thragtusk. You got to bring 2 spears. That's the flavor text. Always bring 2 spears.
Oh, I did not realize that was the flavor text.
Yeah. See, it looks like an elephant in the second picture. I don't get it. It's fine. But Ulamog is in hand. It can eat 2 permanents when it comes down, even through a counterspell.
Yeah. Ice Fang Waddell the draw here for Chase Swick. He has 2 more Solitudes in hand, looks like. So I think we'll just see a land drop, an attack for 3, a +7 on the Teferi, and a pass of the turn. He knows the Ulamog and the Urza's Tower are in Waddell's hand, so he knows that's castable the very next turn. He does have enough mana to play the Coatl and Solitude, so could just run out this Coatl too. Oh, goes for Iteration. Okay.
Yep, goes for Expressive Iteration. I'm going to take a peek at the top 3. Let's see if he finds anything worth casting. No, he had the option to cast it at instant speed with the Teferi, but Expressive Iteration derives a lot of its strength from being able to play a land off of it. And if you play that at instant speed, you basically have to play the spell at instant speed you find off of it too. So heads up play from Chase, not doing the tricky thing, just doing the more valuable thing. Yeah. Finds a Misty Rainforest off of it, which he can play for the turn, and then has access to a little bit of counter magic in hand, I believe, in the Coatl.
So, well, ooh.
Gonna be tapping out here, it seems, for an Omnath. Okay. And now Fetch Land is gonna gain him some life. Draw a card. Maybe he doesn't have the counter spell and it's just preparing to get hit with an Ulamog because he can't exile it. Maybe he has the Ulamog covered with another Solitude or something.
Yeah, he has 2 Solitudes in hand. So that's what's dealing with the Ulamog. No counter spells in hand. So it looks like 2 Solitudes, Ice Fang Coatl, Prismatic Ending, and 2 unknowns.
All right, so we're going to fetch here. That's going to be the second landfall trigger from Omnath, and that's going to generate Wooburg minus black. And then the Hallowed Fountain is going to allow for up to 5 mana, so we can play something like Teferi and Ice Fang Coatl if we want to just utilize all our mana efficiently.
Yeah, could just tap out. You know, there's no. He has enough mana to cast Solitude even after getting Ulamog, unless Waddell exiles both white sources. But then you still have, now you have 3 white sources and you have Omnath. Yeah, so there's no need to hold it up and float mana for the Solitude. You can just, you know, get this explosive turn with an Omnath, extend a bunch of things to the battlefield. We got red-white floating with this Waddell. And 3 more mana. Oh, and then buy Orient. Sure.
Okay.
Use all of our mana.
And attack for 3. We're going to gain some life up to 15. And now Waddell has to have a money turn here. And Ulamog is usually powerful enough to start stealing a game, but with so much velocity created by Chase Swick, just every single card replacing itself, and Ulamog can eat some lands, but if Chase has a backup land thanks to those Ren and 6s from earlier and a Solitude, it's going to handle it. Even though it's a 3 or sometimes even 4 for 1, it's okay as long as you're not dead.
Yeah, the one thing that could be awkward is, you know, Swick is giving Waddell a lot of life. He Solituted a Wormcoil Engine. Now he's going to have to Solitude a Ulamog. That's another 10. So, and the Ulamog's going to deal with his best threats. So, you know, it's just going to give Waddell that much more time to keep finding more and more threats. And you got to figure eventually you run out.
Yeah, I mean, here's an Ugin. I believe this is the Effable one, the Spirit Dragon. The other one, Ineffable. This one's going to come down for 8 mana. It's going to -5, and it's going to take care of everything on Chase Swick's side of the battlefield that's in play other than the lands. That's going to exile everything that's not colorless.
Really smart, I think, to play the Spirit Dragon there instead of Ulamog, the sort of, you know, ostensibly more powerful card. Ugin 1 has greater impact on the battlefield, dealing with 4 permanents instead of 2, and Ugin is the much more vulnerable one to a future counterspell, should Swick find one, whereas the Ulamog against the counterspell, you're still going to get the trigger, right, which is quite valuable. So taking out the opportunity while Swick was tapped down to cast a you know, more easily answered threat and putting Swick in an awkward position, might not have done that had Swick just left mana up, so potentially punished for his aggressive line.
Now I have a question, Ross. How many colors are in Magic the Gathering?
5.
Okay, so if I wanted to Sunburst with a prismatic ending for X = 8, is that something I can do?
Well, as a number scientist, I can tell you that 8 is larger than 5. And thus, the answer to your question is no.
Okay, all right. Well, we have another Urza's Tower come down here for Joshua Waddell. This might lead to an Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Could start casting some Thragtusk here, maybe saving that Ulamog to exile some more relevant permanents like the Yorion, like some more Planeswalkers that are a little more scary. Ren and 6, not really that big of a deal at the moment. And the Thragtusk does represent potentially 2 permanents, and he has the Ugin the Spirit Dragon also still on the battlefield. Yeah,
so we can just Ugin, you know, +2, put the Ren to 1, start working that down, play a Thragtusk, have the Urza Saga making some construct tokens, and go about it that way. Save the Ulamog for higher value targets.
All right. Well, it looks like he's going to be tapping a ton of mana here. That's Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. That's going to munch on 2 permanents. Let's see what the targets are for Joshua Waddell. Even through a counterspell, this trigger is a cast trigger. So 2 lands or Ren and 6 plus a land are going to get eaten.
And notably, this Ulamog does only cost 8 mana because of the discount. Oh no, that's the other Ugin.
Yeah,
so
wrong one. That's the Effable one, not the Ineffable one.
Did we only tap 8 mana?
I see 2 towers tap, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe it was short 1 mana. We'll get that checked out here. 2 towers, a power plant, and a forest is 1 short. But if all he does is just tap the other land in response, we could have that fixed. But let's get that fixed real quick. Okay, we messaged the judge. Hopefully that'll be handled. I don't think there's any ill intent, just a slight miscounting. And now some mana being floated. Ulamog eats some lands, and then Solitude's going to exile the Ulamog, taking care of it, but a heavy cost.
Yeah. So now the Solitude can attack. Ooh. Oh no, the Ren is on 1. So Solitude can get the Ugin down to 1, but
No, but then the Ren 6 can minus and kill it.
No, because the Ren. Oh, it is a -1. Yeah. What am I thinking? Yes, but it will cost.
It's been a long 2 days.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, I think Waddell miscounted his mana there. Was hoping to be able to leave up the activation of Urza Saga.
Well, he'd already tapped the Saga, so it's fine.
No. The judge just made him tap it. Because he was 1 mana short. But was hoping to leave that up and get a construct as well. unfortunately finds out later on that he is one short of being able to do everything. So gonna lose out on a construct. We'll see if that matters down the road.
This is kind of why I wanted to play a Thragtusk instead, because even if it was killed, you still get a 3/3 blocker, and you can activate Saga. But casting the Ulamog means we're losing some value from the Urza Saga.
Yeah, we saw the Patience the turn before, playing Ugin instead. It did not hold that Patience for a second turn, and I think is going to get soundly punished.
Yeah, but maybe just really wanted to exile the lands to constrict the resources from the 4-color control deck. Abundant Growth to play, gonna cycle it.
I like constricting resources if I'm putting, pressure on my opponent, because...
What, 10/10's not enough pressure? What do you want? Ugin Spirit Dragon, not enough pressure?
Ugin's not that much pressure when it's at, 3 or something. It's just bolting every turn.
All right. Well, the Ugin is taken out, so it looks like Chase has weathered the storm from this Tron deck, really just trading a lot of resources to deal with these big permanents, but still doing just fine. 5 cards in hand still, 3/2 lifelink in play, 6 mana, just cruising USA.
He's just beating the Tron deck straight up. Like, okay, do your Tron thing. My stuff is better.
Oh no, I lost my 2 lands. Just exile your thing. Oh no, you gained 10 life. Okay, fine. Ugin minus... Kill 4 permanents. Okay.
Yeah, Solitude really looking great in this game as, an additional threat and a way to answer some of the hardest to answer threats out of the Tron deck. You used to have to path exile those Ulamogs, and you didn't have many paths because path wasn't very good against anybody else.
Yeah, no kidding. But Solitude, great against everyone apparently. Just 5 mana 3/2 flash that has lifelink and just happens to source the plowshares when you cast it. And on top of that, has the Evoke for pitching a white card. Obviously, one of the best cards in Modern right now.
It doesn't, just happen to do that. Like, it was specifically designed to do that by a team of talented people.
Yeah, a bunch of maniacs. A bunch of people who think that free cards are just, fine to print all the time. Brad. Brad's fault. It's always Brad's fault. Even when it's not. I'm just playing.
In case you're unaware, Todd is blaming Brad and Nelson.
Also known as Bard Nessalon.
Indeed.
All right, well, we got the 3rd chapter of Saga here. Waddell figuring out if he wants to float a mana or make a construct before tutoring. Not sure what he's going to tutor up. Got a couple options at his disposal. We'll figure it out in just a second, but looks like we are going to make a token here.
A 1/1 token. Soon to be a 2/2 when the Urza Saga 3rd chapter trigger resolves and we find, maybe... Expedition Map at this point doesn't do a whole lot because we're through the Urza Saga and the Sanctum of Ugin. So maybe getting any sort of Chromatic Star, just a cantrip. It's probably our best bet. There's a Relic too if you want to get that.
I love that he calls it the Karn struct. Love me a good Karn struct. It's a star. It's not very big right now, but it can grow. It's just a little guy.
This token was first made by the Planeswalker Karn, Scion of Urza. Has since reappeared on several other cards.
I have to imagine it was made somewhere else first. But I remember, I thought one of the old Karns was maybe a construct with star equal to number of artifacts. But I know that maybe, I don't know.
OG Karn, the only Karn that's a creature was a 5-mana 4/4. It's a rare from Urza Saga.
It's whenever it blocks or becomes blocked, it fogs both creatures or something.
It got -4/+4.
Yeah, so but it became a pacifist. But you could spend a mana to turn an artifact into an artifact creature of its power, or power types equal to the casting cost, I believe.
Yes, so it destroyed Moxen in Vintage.
Yeah, or it made your Mindslaver into a 6/6 if you didn't want to take your opponent's turn for some reason.
Yeah. I turned a lot of smokestacks into 4/4s.
All right, Relic of Progenitus to find. I guess there's not a ton left to find. Yeah. Even an Expedition Map is just another land, maybe a Blast Zone or something, but the Relic of Progenitus can cycle. Another Ugin the Spirit Dragon. This one's going to be pretty good, maybe. If it ticks up and kills the Solitude, it's going to have a lot of loyalty and maybe be difficult to deal with.
Yeah, so that one's actually threatening to ultimate in 2 turns, which is a big game.
And we'll see if Chase Swick can fight through yet another big haymaker from the Tron deck. This is usually the bread and butter for Tron, these mid-range matchups. I actually picked the Tron deck to win this matchup 2-0, but it seems like Chase Swick is able to weather the storm pretty easily, but here this extra Ugin might be a little too much. We'll just have to wait and see if he has the answer.
Yeah, no real way to just take such an expensive Planeswalker off the battlefield in Swick's deck, but does have some sources of direct damage. There's one copy of Fury, there's obviously Ren Pings, but most importantly, these 2 copies of Lightning Bolt and 2 copies of Unholy Heat could team up.
Seems like he does have a Lightning Bolt in hand. The one with the Quaddle, the Bolt, and a Unholy Heat can do it for sure.
Well, the Unholy Heat can be foiled by a Relic and turned into a 2 damage spell, so smart of Waddell to get the Relic instead of a Chromatic Star.
All right, let's see if Swick can navigate this turn to keep the Ugin from being too devastating. Tapping 3.
Let's say Teferi. Oh, tapping 5.
Maybe this is the Yorion time, maybe. All right, we're going to have 2 blanks, one on the Abundant Growth and one on the Icefang Quaddle. We'll see if there's any response from Waddell.
Time to Nomad the Skies. Now, the Ugin can clear away all these permanents with a -5, but then it'll be quite far away from ultimating.
Yeah, and it'll die to Lightning Bolt.
Chase Swick still with a full grip of cards. Why does this deck never run out of gas?
Because every single card says draw card.
He's been Ugin for 4 permanents, Ulamogged for 2 permanents, and also and Oblivion Stoned at one point, right?
Yeah.
For like 3 or 4 permanents.
Yeah, this is still game 1, and we are deep in it. This has been at least a 20-minute game 1, and it does not look like it's too close to resolving.
Oh yeah, tap my Relic.
Here's actually something that can happen. If the Ugin the Spear Dragon is taken care of, there is a chance that Chase Swick decks the Tron deck. I know that sounds crazy, but with an 80-card starter and both decks kind of churning through with various tutor effects and various card draw things, I would say that there is some chance that the Tron deck just runs out of actual ways to win the game. It looks like he's pretty light on threats already.
We have yet to see a copy of Karn Liberated yet, and that will make him restart the game.
Oh my god, it's an Ephemerate on a Yorion in response to the Ugin -5. That's going to blink out the Icefang Quaddle and the Abundant Growth, and those are going to come back EOT and draw 2 more cards.
Yeah.
The constructs can come back. The Yorion's gone.
Yeah, Yorion comes back right away and gets exiled by the activation, but that, you draw 2 extra cards and save 2 of your permanents. So.
Yep. And here's the Thragtusk, that main deck tech card for the aggro decks. It actually is going to generate a decent amount of pressure here, but some cool trick we're going to see in just a second. The Abundant Growth is going to go on the Breeding Pool, and it's going to unlock red mana, and a Lightning Bolt is going to take down Ugin the Spirit Dragon during the end step. And we're going to get to see Chase Swick untap and try to beat just a Thragtusk and a Karn. Let's see if he can do it.
We got an Expedition map that really doesn't have anything great left to find. We'll probably just find the Cascading Cataracts. Maybe a Blast Zone, yeah. Those are the actual 2 options, unless you just want to get another tower. I guess 3 options for it. But nothing particularly impactful here. And yeah, Swick still with, 6 cards in hand?
Yeah, I mean...
About to be 8?
Yeah, there's just so much burst card advantage with Yorion and all these blink effects, and I don't know. It's just so hard to fight through.
Okay, everyone keeps telling me that these Tron decks just go over the top of the 4-color decks, but
we've Cascading Cataracts. If he can find a Golos or Karn the Great Creator, it could be okay.
Yeah, we've only needed 1 counter spell.
Yeah, that's
other
true.
than that, it's just been card draw and removal. Historically, card draw and removal hasn't been a good plan against Tron, but somehow this deck is fine.
All right, 2 cards drawn from the Quaddle and the Abundant Growth re-entering, and then Ephemerate is going to blink the Quaddle again. We're seeing the Abundant Growth attached to the Breeding Pool, activating red mana, and a Lightning Bolt's going to take down the Ugin. Relic of Progenitus at the ready for Waddell, but no real graveyard synergies from Chase Swick, so it's not going to hurt him too badly. Just kind of shuts down Unholy Heat a little bit.
And notably, there are 3 basic lands on Swick's battlefield, so that Icefang Quaddle has Death Touch and can trade for either the Construct token or half of that Thragtusk.
Yeah, both players had a decent life total. Waddell has 32 from the 2. Is
that an Emrakul, the Promised End?
He has one in the main deck, I believe.
Yeah.
Right? So if he casts that here, maybe he can do some serious damage to Waddell.
Maybe we can start actually ending this game.
Yeah, hopefully. I got places to be. Neither player wants to die. I'm going to need one of them to give up. Tap the mat. We got to cut the commercial soon.
We got ads to run, bills to pay.
Speaking of ads, shout out to our sponsors this weekend. LuxuryPlaystyle.com. You can check out some premium tokens. Thanks to G Fuel Energy, as well as Wings, etc. They were able to help us bring together this wonderful tournament weekend, an RCQ with 2 slots, as well as the Ohio Valley MTG Invitational brought to you by Apex Gaming.
Okay, well, that is a 7 mana Emrakul.
Okay, so Waddell's next turn is going to get stripped, and then the turn after that, he's going to get an extra turn. We're talking to a judge, it seems like. Not sure exactly what's going on. Maybe just explaining what's going to happen with the Emrakul. So let's turn the hand over, so we'll see how Swick wants to navigate Josh Waddell's turn as a Mindslaver effect.
I think step 1 is popping this relic.
Yeah, you want to try to draw something fun, you know? I'd probably go ahead and cycle the Chromatic Star too, just in case. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. See what you can hit. Do some serious damage. All right, looks like we're going to cycle that. Chromatic Star. Draw a card. All right, Golos Tireless Pilgrim. That's actually, I don't know if we can do, so we can play Golos and activate it and then not cast anything and maybe just exile some long game permanents that could potentially win the game. And it's going to get cast next turn anyway. And if Swick has a Solitude, he can actually like exile the top 3 cards and then Solitude it, and then it's just gone forever.
Yeah, definitely want to get that that Golos out of the way, because that could be a scary turn of events if you hit real big.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's 3 towers untapped along with the mine, and the power plant is tapped. So I'm looking at 13 mana, and you need, with Cataracts losing a mana to use its later ability, you essentially need 8 to activate Golos and 5 to cast it. So we have enough.
All right, we're going to go looking for a land. Maybe not going to get anything. Maybe just taking a peek at the deck. These are closed deck lists.
Yeah.
So now it gets a little more information.
I'm definitely on the fail to find plan here. No need to give them extra mana.
Not even flinching at the Kozilek Butcher of Truths, just no respect. But still, multiple Karn the Crate creators left, none being cast this game, so those are potential win conditions still.
Give Josh his deck back. He can shuffle while you figure everything else out.
Yep, that's true. All right, well, we can play the land, we can activate the Golos, and then choose not to cast anything. And then if Solitude's in hand, which I believe it is, we can go ahead and exile Golos, so it's no longer a problem.
Yeah.
And if we hit some big permanents off the top with the Golos, we can just choose to leave them in exile and just not do anything with them.
And then before Waddell gets to take his uncontrolled turn as a Solitude that can get evoked from Chase's hand. Handle that Golos before Waddell gets to take his turn.
We have an update from our back table. The other match is going to game 3. We should have a winner there shortly. We'll announce it. And who wins that coveted prize slot? We'll let you know in just a few.
Yawgmoth against 4-color is not fast. We're not going to have a winner short.
Well, maybe shortly is relative, because we're still in game 1 here, and the match between Josh Waddell's Tron and Swick's 4-color control, and it is a tanker.
Yeah, we thought this was going to be the faster of the 2 matches, and we were wrong.
All right, Chase, trying to figure out how best to navigate this turn. Needs to play a little bit faster here. Thinking pretty hard on the Golos. We'll see what he wants to do. He's already casted and dug for land. Now I can activate, I believe, with the Cascading Cataracts.
So the 2 towers, use 5 of it and the Cataracts to make the Wooburg, and then you have 1 floating in the forest to get you the 2 generic.
All right, All Is Dust down and a Karn the Great Crater down. We can choose just not to cast any of this. I would rather not cast it than cast it, because the All Is Dust really only kills the front half of the Thragtusk, but it kills the Quaddle and your Abundant Growth.
Yeah, unfortunately, none of this does anything to help you. You don't want to leave the Karn around to let Waddell wish when he untaps with it.
Yeah, just chooses to keep them all in exile. That's what I assumed was going to happen. Now, what you need to do here is before the Golos gets untapped, you have to go for the Solitude. Otherwise, Waddell's going to get the untap, use the Cascading Cataracts, and Golos himself. If you give him the window to do it, it could be bad. But we're going to do some blocking here. We're going to eat the creatures.
Yeah.
Construct's going to trade
for the Construct, but we'll have a Beast token enter.
Too bad we don't have no Tandy Beast token. It's rare you get to see Thragtusk die on camera these days.
Yeah, that's more 2015.
All right, and here's the Solitude pitch. We're going to exile the Golos. Get that one out of the way. And now it's basically down to Josh Waddell peeling off the top here, but he does have an extra draw from the Relic of Progenitus. Shields are down, though. Chase Swick tapped out. I don't believe he has another Solitude in hand, so let's see what Waddell can put together after that brutal Emrakul turn. Finds a Karn the Great Creator!
That might
What's
be the
going to
best
be in the
possible.
sideboard?
So there is a Golos in the sideboard to find. Do we have enough mana to do all of that? 3/6/9 from the 2 towers. The other 2 Tron lands get us to 13, 15. Not counting the cataracts, we need 4 9s. We're actually 1 short.
Okay, well, we can get something else here, and we still have a ton of mana. So
You can get. I think he's got a Sundering Titan. That could be a good one. Blow up 5 of your lands.
And you're still at 35, so you'll lose the Karn, but if the Emrakul attacks, you can threaten to attack for 10 damage while blowing up 4 of your opponent's lands. And that's what he's going to get. Sundering Titan, Big Daddy, 7/10, blowing up all your opponent's lands. This is a heater of appeal.
Yeah.
That Karn the Great Creator is nuts.
And keep in mind, the Sundering Titan is a Leaves Play trigger. So even if it gets solituded, you know,
More lands
are getting blown up. So this could actually change things. The Emrakul is a 3-turn clock.
But if he attacks, that's 10 damage coming across, and you're
Yeah.
losing 4 of your 7 lands.
Should be losing 5 of them. That does. Oh, the Abundant Growth doesn't give it all types. It just gives it the ability to tap for anything.
I don't know. Let's take a look at Abundant Growth when we get a moment, if you don't mind.
Oh, why are we untapping?
I don't
We got Oblivion Stone?
Oh, it's an Oblivion Stone. I guess he was so afraid of the Emrakul that he went for that instead of the Sundering Titan. Oh, man. I just
like
assumed
that.
it was Sundering Titan. I don't like it either.
Swick has a huge grip of cards. Like, you just trading resources is not going to end well.
I know Josh Waddell has a Sundering Titan, too. We saw it in a previous match.
Yeah. So now, because Swick attacked the Karn, you can take a turn to put a fate counter on your elephant, on your beast token. At least save that.
Yeah.
But I think I see a counter spell and a Solitude in Chase Swick's hand. So he's got a lot of Waddell's draws covered.
Yeah, now the Oblivion Stone is going to take care of the Emrakul, though, so doesn't actually have a way to interact that well here.
When there's the Beseiju, that's actually going to take Waddell off of Tron. He has 3 towers and 1 each of the other 2.
Yeah, there's plenty of mana on that side of the table, though. I'm not sure that taking him off of Tron is that relevant, you know?
Well, there's no more basics to find. There's only 2 forests in Waddell's deck, so it's actually a straight up Stone Rain. That actually takes him off of activating O Stone. So if he lets this resolve, there could be a prismatic ending that now just deals with the O Stone.
Okay, he's digging through the deck. There's only 2 forests, though, so he can put a fate counter on the beast token, but if Chase Swick has the prismatic ending, he's going to get max punished here and not be able to kill the Emrakul. So
Yeah, that's a risky line.
Could have floated a mana, maybe announced floating mana. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, but we're in.
He did. See, he announced
Yeah.
floating mana even though he didn't physically tap it, and that's going to blow up the Emrakul. And now Josh Waddell has cleared the board, and Chase Swick has to find a way to win.
Abundant Growth. Is that a way to win?
I think it's a way to prolong the game that's already been going for 80 minutes. I don't actually know how long it's been going, but it's been a while.
It's probably about 40, 45 at this point.
I don't think it's been 45. We'll see. We don't have a timer going, but chat probably knows. Chat knows everything.
Chat knows all and sees all.
Counterspell in Chase Swick's hand, though. That's going to check the next big draw. In a turn, we're going to cast this Solitude just as a 3/2 flash. And
12 clock.
We got to hit so many times.
That's the 3rd counter spell.
Yeah, but there's not that many actual threats left in Chase Swick's deck either.
There's 3 Karn Liberated and 2 Karn the Great Creator.
Chase Swick's deck.
Oh, yeah.
So if Waddell is able to even just put up a blocker for the Solitude or somehow kill it, there's a chance that Chase Swick actually gets decked too. They're both pretty deep in their deck, and
Yeah, Swick has already used his Endurance, which would be his one way to recycle that Emrakul.
all right, another Tron land. I don't think the tower gives him Tron, but he found another Tron land in hand. Maybe he's sandbagging Tron. It's hard to tell. These new arts, These are mixing and matching.
So there is a Fury in Swick's deck.
Okay.
There's 2 Eternal Witnesses. That could also recycle the...
Okay. The graveyards did get eaten from the Relic of Progenitus, but you're right. That Emrakul's still there. And can be cast with just a few more lands. Not a ton of actual lands left in the deck that Swick can actually tap for mana, I don't think. Just because many of them were already blown up by Ulamog.
I also don't know how many Omnaths are left. I think we've only seen 1 so far.
Yep.
So plenty of Omnaths left, but...
Yeah. I'm really sweating on that Sundering Titan, man. I wish that thing came down.
Yeah, I think that could have made this game very interesting.
Well, it could have been just a Solitude hit and then no lands and an Emrakul versus Josh Waddell. You know, maybe eventually able to find some other way to deal with the Emrakul.
So then you're gaining 7 going up to, 42. So it's a 4-turn clock from the Emrakul, and Swick's at 15, and you have a Bragtusk, a beast token, so that's a 5-turn clock.
All right,
so
we have a big
still winning that race.
Planeswalker here. I believe that was Karn Liberated. Nice altar. Hit with a counterspell. 1 more counterspell in hand for Swick.
And there's the Fury. So that's going to increase this clock by quite a bit.
Yep. Gonna probably try to cast that and still be able to hold up counterspell.
So we can attack for 3, put Waddell to 26, play the Fury, and now the attack is for 9. That would be a 3-turn clock after this turn. So greatly increasing our clock. And with a counterspell, we've got 1 live draw covered for Waddell. Just got to hope there's not more live draws after that off the top.
Swick trying to find a way to tap the lands to hold up counterspell. Gonna play Fury up 2, choosing no targets. The attack for 3. 3 more life point buffer, and we're starting to see Swick turn the corner here. Still has counterspell at the ready. Toad's like Butcher True.
Can we cast it? Is that Tron?
I think he was holding Tron for a while. I think he was sandbagging the Tron. We'll see. We'll see how many
he's tapping mana, so he's got to have it.
3, 6,
Otherwise,
9.
he'd be doing nothing.
All right, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh my god.
Here it comes. Is this the one that draws 4, or is this the one that refreshes his whole hand?
I think Butcher Truth is the draw 4. This is the 12/12 Annihilator 4. And I don't know how many Solitudes are left. Not
many. We've seen at least 3 so far.
I think 1 got cast early as an attacker. 2 of them exiled creatures, the Ulamog and the Wormcoil Engine, and then this Solitude get cast as an attacker. I think that's all of them.
Yeah, but this is still going to be a draw 4 trigger.
Yeah, we do have the counter spell, so kind of forced to counter this. But yeah, then we've got 4 more cards. Is Joshua Waddell actually going to run Swick out of threats?
Maybe. Still at 26 life. Had many a creature exiled here.
Incredible sequence of draws.
All right. Draws 4. Couple chromatic stars. Gonna cycle those.
And then a map and a scrying. So a pretty weak set of draws, but 2 redraws there. Wait, did this Kozilek resolve?
It seems like it did. We're gonna crack that and draw a card, see if we can find anything else to cast this turn. 1 mana floating.
Maybe I miscounted and there is another Solitude left. And that's
I believe there is 1 left. Maybe he's trying to save the counterspell for Karn the Great Creator.
Yeah, there is at most 1 left. And yeah, you would much rather Solitude this Kozilek and save the counter for a Planeswalker.
All right, well, here's an Ugin the Ineffable, where we have 6 mana at the ready, another tower, another 2 mana Tron land, and a forest, and a 1 floating, so we have 1 extra still to play maybe 1 other spell. We're going to burn that mana, we're going to play the Ugin, and we can minus to kill a colored permanent, choosing to knock off the Fury or the Solitude. Swick got
I think this will draw the counter spell.
Fetching in response, this is an interesting sequence here because he already has 2 blue up. Curious why he's choosing to do this now. We'll see if maybe he's got other plans in mind. Maybe just wants to look through his deck before deciding if he wants to counter or not.
Just wants to buy more camera time.
I think he's got plenty. Maybe just wants to hold up, the Abundant Growth Utopia land so he can cast like Unholy Heat or Lightning Bolt or something.
Yeah.
I believe Kozilek Butcher of Truth is not indestructible. I believe that Ulamog was the only one of the Eldrazi 3 that were truly indestructible. Yeah. So maybe a counterspell here and then looking to maybe double Unholy Heat the Kozilek.
Yeah, he left up the Hallowed Fountain, so...
I think he was just looking through his deck just to see what was left, to give him a refresher, because there's only 20 cards left or something.
I think I see an Eternal... Oh, he's holding
Ephemerate. Ephemerate on the Solitude. That's going to easily exile the Kozilek, so that's taken care of.
And I also think I see an Eternal Witness in Swick's hand.
Yep.
That's going to be excellent. Get Pre-buy a counterspell if you want. Can get
What
the
if he
Emrakul
just
back.
waited a turn? He could have targeted the Solitude. He would have missed 3 points of damage, but then Eternal Witness would have allowed him to have something in play that would be a juicy target for that Ephemerate.
Yeah,
on the next turn.
Could have just ephemerated on the main phase.
Yeah, because now it doesn't really do anything. And if he does target, it goes to the graveyard potentially for Eternal Witness. But if he does target, it makes it so one of his creatures doesn't get to attack. So it looks like he's going to fog his own Solitude just to put it in the graveyard so he can go get Eternal Witness. Go get it with Eternal Witness, excuse me.
Yeah. And that should do it.
Yeah.
Because Waddell is out of Eldrazi, so Counterspell will stop everything, and we can just loop Ephemerate and Eternal Witness and keep getting back Counterspell.
Yeah. Eternal Witness plus Ephemerate is brutal.
Yeah.
Right. Got a reader. Okay, it's Eternal Witness. We're going to get back Ephemerate. We're going to target Eternal Witness. It's going to exile. We're going to get back probably Counterspell. Yeah. And then next turn, it's going to target it again, and we're going to keep getting back Ephemerate, which gets back Counterspell, which creates a wall of counter magic that should be impossible for Waddell to get through since that Ulamog's already gone. Kuzlak's already gone.
That sequence of draws from Waddell was absolutely unbelievable, and it was still not good enough.
Yeah.
That is a Warping Whale, which could target the Eternal Witness. Does Swick let this resolve? Maybe being scared of a big threat.
Yeah, I don't know. This could be a potential bait, and then maybe an Oblivion Stone or something comes down. Maybe a Karn the Great Creator comes down. So it could be something somewhat scary.
Yeah. There are a lot of situations. No, you can't show them that your hand is bad. Might be holding on to this this Warping Whale, but there's another counterspell, I believe, in Swick's graveyard. So every turn you let this loop go on, he's going to have another counterspell, and that's going to make it easier. Oh, okay.
Blast Zone can break it up. Blast Zone on 3.
So this wasn't a bad card. Yeah, the Blast Zone is good.
All right, we're going to be shuffling up here. We have the Warping Well potentially for the Eternal Witness, but we do have a counterspell at the ready. Blast Zone's going to be the land for turn. We can churn that up to 3 to potentially blow up the Witness. Next turn, though.
I think we trade this Warping Well for a counterspell, though.
Right, we can do it on upkeep in response to the Ephemerate, but you might want to do it main phase it might just resolve.
Yeah, if Swick thinks you might have a threat and is afraid enough of it and lets it resolve, then you can churn this Blast Zone up to 5 and deal with the remaining threats on Swick's battlefield.
Right. All right, so upkeep, Ephemerate coming off a rebound. Let's see if it goes for Eternal Witness. I'm sure it will.
We might see the Warping Well in response to this Ephemerate.
Yeah, I think that's what he was waiting for. And then I think that Chase is just bottlenecked into having to do it now because he let him untap. There's no fear or something anymore because he can just reset, get another counterspell back.
Exactly. So this is easy for Swick to know to counter it. Yeah. The goal, I think, for Waddell was to hopefully scare Swick into letting it resolve, thinking that you might have something really powerful back.
Right. Now we get the Ephemerate back. We're going to draw for turn. Then we'll main phase the Ephemerate on the Eternal Witness, getting back counterspell once again, creating that chain that's very hard to break through.
Getting back Ephemerate, it looks like, which can get back counterspell at instant.
Sure. I mean, yeah. And then draw for turn was a Soaking Zon, a lot more pressure. Might be relevant later. Not that relevant right now. All right. Ephemerate on the Witness. We're going to get back counterspell if there's no response.
So now we've got a counterspell. But the Blast Zone is going to stop this loop, and Waddell can potentially find something to get through this. I'm not sure if he has any more sweeper effects left. We've seen the All Is Dust already. That was off the Golos activation when Chase Swick controlled Waddell's turn with the Emrakul and left in exile. We've also seen both Ugin the Spirit Dragons done.
Maybe
how many Oblivion Stones?
Maybe a Karn the Great Creator, 2 left. To go get something from the sideboard.
Yeah, there's 2 Oblivion Stones in the main, so I think there's 1 left. I think we just saw the one very early in this game. And there's an Oblivion Stone in the sideboard that a Karn the Great Creator could wish for. So still has some ways to sweep up the rest of this battlefield, but doesn't have a lot of time to find it because Swick has that counterspell to cover the first answer he finds, and Waddell is taking 9 damage a turn from those elementals, so it's a 3-turn clock right now. It looks like he can... Looks like he's got 3 more draws left. Draws when he's at 23, 14, and 5. That's a redraw, Chromatic Star. So 2 of his next 3 draws have to be hits.
Yeah, this is kind of a wall of counter magic. He can break it up a little bit, but there's still that one counter spell to fight through. Just going to cycle the Chromatic Star. Finds another Warping Well.
Well, so now maybe we can Warping Whale the Eternal Witness, and you're forced to use the counterspell, because if you don't, then we get to ramp the Blast Zone up to 5. So the Warping Whale counts because it trades for the counterspell. Once again, we want to main phase this.
Tapping 3. Leaving open the shields.
Oh, interesting. So this is going to get us up to 11 power, so it doesn't increase the clock because Waddell is at exactly 23.
All right, making those 2 1/1s.
Is there 2 mana untapped for Swick right now?
I don't think so. I think this is a prime spot to go for a Warping Well and the Eternal Witness.
And then
turn the Blast Zone up to 5
5.
and then blow up the 2 elementals. Now you still have to do with the 2 1/1 spirits, but that's a clock that you're comfortable with most of the time. Let's see if Waddell goes for it. Looks like he's going to let him untap.
You had the window.
Yeah.
You would have taken 11, gone to 12, then dealt with the 2 elementals, and now you're on a 6-turn clock. You got time to grind through that 1 counter spell.
All right, Ephemerate coming down. Let's see what they target. Eternal Witness is the target.
Eternal Witness, yeah.
He's going to go for the Warping Well now. Let's see if he goes for... Oh, he's just going to pop the Blast Zone, the guarantee.
I got a little bit too, I think, pigeonholed with the Blast Zone dealing with the Witness. When he draws that Warping Whale, you have different lines open to you.
Yeah, and you can threaten.
That looks like it might have been Otawara.
I believe it's Otawara as well. Here comes the attack for 11. Just going to put Waddell down to 12. Just 1 point away from lethal on the following attack. Warping Well, the card in hand, could use it to make a blocker. I don't think Expedition Map has too much left to go get. We'll see if he has anything spicy.
God, there's not even many cards left in Waddell's deck.
Yeah, I mean, neither player has that many cards left in their deck. This has been a marathon of a game 1.
Yeah, just gets an Urza's Mine.
All right, Josh Waddell here, shuffling his 12-card deck. Gonna present another mana source, not a big deal. Has infinite mana at his disposal. Waddell draws. See if he can find a Karn. He does. But 1 counterspell left from Chase Swick's side.
And if he had baited that counterspell with the Warping Whale or used it to deal with the Eternal Witness,
yeah,
he'd have a lot of time. This counterspell would counter it. He'd be at 12 with only the 2 1/1s attacking him. And we'd have a real shot coming back in this game.
Now, has 1 Karn the Great Creator left in the deck. If he peels
and an O-Stone.
If he peels it, he can go get a Snaring Bridge and buy himself a little more time.
Well, that's an Omnath.
Okay.
That can deal direct damage in the face of an Ensnaring Bridge.
Yeah. Well, you have to imagine there's very few fetchable lands left on Chase Swick's side of things. It's possible that the Omnath is just never going to be able to deal any damage.
Okay,
like with the landfall triggers.
I think we're going to see this Eldrazi Scion chump the Fury. So Waddell will end up taking 5, falling to 7. Swick gains 3 to 32.
All right. If he had some sort of removal spell, might want to do it just to keep the clock, put him to 1, but seems like he's content letting the 6 damage be absorbed by the 1/1 Eldrazi Scion. 5 damage coming through. Waddell down to 7. Needs to top deck something huge here. It's got to be the O-Stone or the Karn or the game's over.
I think wisely holds the Omnath back. Doesn't need it. Oh my God.
Back. Karn the Great Creator. He drew it. What are you going to go get? Josh Waddell, you're at 7.
The thing is, you've got to get the O-Stone, and you don't have time to fake counter your Karn or anything like that. So unfortunately, we're not going to get another activation out of it.
I think this is the last threat in his entire deck. If he goes and gets an Oblivion Stone from... Actually, he has a ton of cards in exile from the Relic of Progenitus. He could get anything from the exile.
Oh.
Yeah. And as long as it's an artifact...
I don't know if there's a more relevant card than Oblivion Stone, though. You could try to go for Golos and hit more off the top.
But there's nothing left. The deck is so thin.
Have we seen a Karn Liberated yet? I don't think we have.
We've seen 1.
We've seen 1?
Yeah.
So there's 3 in the list. There's 2 more Karn Liberated.
But is Karn Liberated even good enough to survive here?
I mean, you could run Chase out of threats. I think... Is this Bridge?
I think he's going for Bridge. He's going to try to just sit on the Bridge for a couple turns.
Well, I like this because it means the Karn will get to activate next turn.
Right.
And it should be on 3.
Yeah.
So we'll get another Karn activation. but the Otawara.
Otawara is going to bounce, and that's going to be the end of the game. The game one handshake, because it was such a marathon of a game one, and Josh Waddell comes close, but not close enough. An insane series of draws, but his 4-color opponent able to keep him in check. What a sick game! Maybe it's the best game of Magic I've ever watched, honestly. Holy moly!
If that doesn't show you the power of this 4-color deck with the things that Waddell was able to do and the cards that he resolved and the draw steps at the end of the game, and Swick covered all of it. Really, really impressive stuff. Moving on to the sideboards, because we still potentially have 2 more games of this.
I hope they're quicker.
Yeah.
I just hope they are.
Waddell, we had him on earlier, and he has got a couple Nature's Claims into a Force of Vigor, in addition to 12 Wish targets for this Karn. The Disenchant's not good in this matchup, so I think this is the same 60. So, maybe we'll see an occasional one-of come in, but most of the one-ofs, Walking Ballista, Golos, Worm Coil, Sundering Titan, Chalice, Pithing Needle, Relic, Liquid Metal Coating, Crucible, Ensnaring Bridge, O-Stone, Trinisphere. None of those seem to jump out at me as cards that should be moved into the main, so I think we're in a same 60 situation for Josh Waddell on Tron. For Chase Swick on 4-color, his sideboard is 2 Endurance, 2 Chalice of the Void, 2 Force of Vigor, 1 Flusterstorm, 1 Mystical Dispute, 2 Supreme Verdict, 3 Veil of Summer, 1 Yorion Sky Nomad as the companion, and 1 Obsidian Charmaw. Well, the Obsidian Charmaw is excellent, especially with Ephemerate. So, and Eladamri's Call. So that's a one-of that you have some access to beyond just drawing it naturally. And I really like that. I guess it really only works if Swick is on the play, but a turn 2 Eladamri's Call and a turn 3 Charmaw would be a really nice curve for him. We'll see if he has to do that in game 3. But the rest of the sideboard, not really great. The counter spells are not really things that are meant for Tron. You could bring in a couple Force of Vigors. That'll be able to blow up maybe some O-Stones. Maybe you could pitch it early to destroy an Expedition map. Probably better than a couple things in the main, but certainly not exciting. But, just a Charmaw and a couple Forces. Maybe you even want the Mystical Dispute as a 3-mana mana leak. Maybe you want the Endurances as additional threats. That they might be better than Ice Fang Waddell, which, even though it cantrips, just provides no pressure at all. And pressure definitely matters in this matchup. But really, neither side has a great card or a great sideboard for the matchup outside of that singleton copy of Obsidian Charmaw for Swick.
All right. Well, players shoveling up here for game number 2, finishing their sideboarding. The Tron deck doesn't have access to a ton, thanks to that Karn sideboard, but maybe this 4-color control deck with Yorion can find a couple more answers, but was able to grind through pretty good in game 1. The 45-minute game 1. Holy crap.
I mean, he ground through almost every single threat in the Tron deck.
I think there was
2 Karn Liberated.
1 or 2 Karn Liberated left. I don't know. The Karn the Great Creator, if it had been given a little more time, can get those things out of exile. So, potentially 2 more threats off of that one.
Yeah, but I think the key there, though, was the not using the Warping Whale effectively. Got too locked into using the Blast Zone to kill the E-Witness. When he draws a second Warping Whale, could have used that to either deal with the Eternal Witness, freeing up the Blast Zone to deal with the Elementals, or could have used it to trade for a counterspell. Either way would have been in a significantly better position in that late game. So that's the one moment I would look back to if I was in Josh Waddell's seat and say, yeah, I should have done that differently. Which is impressive if there's only one such moment in a game that goes 45 minutes.
Some of the best players in the game, they consider themselves students because they're always studying. And I hope that Waddell goes back and watches the coverage here and sees if he can pinpoint any of his mistakes. Maybe he tries to learn from them for next time. Now, with that said, these are extremely long, extremely complicated games, and we are in the top 4 after playing Magic for almost 8 hours. 9 hours? 9 hours now. That one game was almost an hour long. Good night.
Really one of the longest games you'll ever see on camera.
I mean, and it was pure too. It was literally just haymakers back and forth, blow for blow, answer, haymaker, answer, haymaker, answer.
Yeah. The one thing that could have shortened the game is if Waddell went for the Sundering Titan line. Because
Yeah.
then Swick is kind of forced to be aggressive with that Emrakul.
Yep, and then a Sundering Titan plus a 3/3, you know? And if there is another Solitude to exile the Sundering Titan, you lose all the rest of your lands.
Yep.
So I would have loved to have seen Waddell go for the Sundering Titan. It's one of my favorite cards ever made. It's one of the baddest artifacts you can get with Tinker and Cube. I love it. All right, we're shuffling up here. Waddell's going to be on the play. Let's see.
Also a great hit in Momir Basic, by the way.
Ah, yeah.
It's real good.
Real good. You know what's a bad hit? Phage the Untouchable. What's up? All right, we have a confirmation from our backup match. The Yawgmoth pilot does take it down, so he is waiting now for the finals to see who's going to take home $500, and he's already locked up a slot to DreamHack Atlanta in November. But Chase Swick has one more game ahead of him at least, maybe a whole hour's worth of game left.
Yeah, that is Kyle Hodar, our Yawg pilot on the other half of the bracket. That's our 2 seed. We saw him dispatch Jeffrey Hicks in the quarterfinals on Mono Red Eldrazi. So Hodar punches his ticket to Atlanta. He was our 2 seed. So far the higher seed has won every single match, and our 1 seed in this match is up a game, though mulliganing here in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, we did see Joshua Waddell mulligan last game down to 6, but was able to put together a turn 4 Tron in this kind of grindy, slow matchup. 6-card hand from Chase looks pretty mediocre. Gonna send it back and go to 5. Just took a peek at the top just to make sure. Obviously, insinuating a mulligan. No shenanigans.
Mulligan to 5 is tough.
You know, as long as he's got an early counterspell, maybe he's okay. But I agree. But we've seen the deck just generate so much raw card advantage.
Yeah. What he needs is a couple counterspells for the first 2 threats, and then a turn where he just casts a cheap Obsidian Charmaw and ephemerates it.
Yeah.
You know, if you can go counterspell on turn, I guess Swick is on the draw. I'm thinking if you get to turn 4 and can counter plus Eladomri's Call, and then turn 5 go for the Ephemerate play. That would be ideal, but that would mean Waddell has played 5 turns, so that's 3 counter spells you might need to have, which is a tough ask when you only have 4 in your 80-card deck.
Yep. Got to put 2 back here, keeping the 5. See how this game plays out. Maybe Tron takes a fast one, and then we have a game 3, but if not, we might have a super long marathon game 2 where Chase Swick finally takes it down. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. And we're ready to go. Josh Waddell.
This looks like a map opening for Waddell.
All right, turn on Urzaland map. If he has another Urzaland, he's able to go for the turn 3 Tron and maybe get something like Karn Liberated down super early.
Yep, there's the second Tron piece. We got Tower Power Plant in play. We'll search for the mine, and
Whoop, there it is. That was maybe the widest whoop, there it is of all time. Apologies for that.
I see the Charmaw as Swick is thumbing through his deck, so that is in the deck, not in hand at this point.
All right, well, I believe that's the Bant Triumph coming down off the fetch land. Spar's headquarters, I believe it's called. Don't quote me on that, though.
Oh, I will.
Okay, fine. There we go. Draw for turn. It looks like he peeled a counterspell, so it could interact. It depends on if he has another land here. Those 2 cards on the left kind of look like Scalding Tarns, and we do have a Misty Rainforest, so that's going to be the play. I wonder if he has Wrenn and 6 or something here, or maybe just wants to hold up a counterspell.
Once again, did not have the prismatic ending for the turn 1 map. Not much he can do to interact at this point other than leave up the counterspell.
Yeah. We'll have to see if that's what he's going to go for, or if he's going to play something like Wrenn and hope to dodge a big baddie on turn 3.
Yeah. Just hope to dodge a Karn Liberated. That's a tough ask. They always have.
Yeah, I mean, when they have turn 3 Tron, that's the scary part. That's the one that's in question. It's never whether or not they have the payoff. They have hundreds of payoff.
There's a Wrenn. So I think Swick only had the 2 lands, so not only value in getting the Wrenn down, but just making the next couple land drops.
Yep. We'll see if we can get a punish here from Waddell. Here is the 3rd Tron piece. And we'll see exactly what Waddell plays next turn. I'm curious to see how he's going to put up some pressure here, because he has plenty of options at his disposal in that deck list. All right. Tron piece in hand. Draw for turn.
And you can play it soon enough.
That's another tower. Yeah. Potentially a turn 3 or turn 4 Ulamog next turn. And here's a Karn liberated. This has to either kill the Wrenn and 6 or blow up a land. Looks like it's going to go after the Wrenn.
Definitely
Karn's
like taking the Wrenn first. The Wrenn is just worth so many land drops.
All right.
If Swick has a bolt here, you know, to deal with the Karn and clean it up, you definitely would rather.
Look how happy Karn looks. He's free, man. He's like, I'm free. What is happening in that picture?
Karn looks like he's standing up from a throne in front of his throng of loyal subjects.
If you look behind him, though, it looks like that's like fire, like he's been running real fast. You know? Maybe he's just out of here.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm about to be out of here to wings, etc. Just a little while.
And well, no answer to the Karn liberated from Chase Swick, so it's going to start plussing. He gives up a Solitude to it, and I think this game's going to be over in a hurry.
I hope so. We go to game 3 quickly. We'll have a finals here between Tron and or whoever wins here. But this is only game number 2. Waddell has to win 2 more, but this one's looking great.
Okay, just an O Stone here. Can put a fate counter on the Karn.
Just decides to pack it in is the fatigue. The fatigue is building.
Love it.
No,
love it.
That is the cleanest concession I've seen in quite a bit. Chase Swick, thank you. Thank you. He's saving my life and my sanity. He knew that one was going to be a tough one.
Yeah, he didn't have the tools to come back from that. He was just going to, he didn't have more land drops, so the Karn was going to start eating his mana base and taking down his hand. And yeah, that game, you know, might have taken an extra 15 minutes to finish, but Chase Swick mercifully calls
15 minutes. You know that was going to be a Karn liberated reset game. That was going to take 45 minutes, but involve, you know, a 1-1 beating down. Like it was going to be a win with like 14 lands and an Ice Wing Waddell attacking 20 times in the reset game. That's what was going to happen. But we're going to have a game 3 here between these two players. The 4-color control with Yorion Omnath versus Tron.
So Swick gets to be on the play for this one, and that means that sequence I mentioned, if he has one of those Eladamri's calls, he can cast it on turn 2 and have a 3-mana Charmaw on turn 3 to break up that Tron.
Yep.
And that'll be great. Only 2 calls and the 1 Charmaw, so 3 copies of that in the 80-card deck list, but definitely something I would be looking to have access to on the play here for game 3. Because then, if you can find an Ephemerate to go along with it, you can get a nice, quick one.
All right, Ross. Well, we're in the top 4 here. Down to the last 2 rounds. 1 more game of this match, and then 1 more finals match. Tell them what they're playing for.
We got $500 for first place, $300 for second. The losers of these matches taking home $150 in cash. And, of course, the winner is also getting their invite to the regional championship at DreamHack Atlanta in November. Kyle Hodar earlier punched his ticket, dispatching Kevin Huang in the top 4. That was Yawgmoth over 4-color elementals. So you can see Kyle in the background there. He's wearing that surgical mask.
Bless you, director.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in tonight. We have been delighted to bring out coverage all weekend of the Invitational yesterday and the RCQ today. If you're new to the channel, Apex Gaming streams live Magic, Modern and Pioneer, pretty often, at least 2-3 times a week. Make sure to hit that follow button if you like watching live Modern and or Pioneer. But we're down here for game number 3.
Typical mulligan here from Tron, and it looks like Chase Swick has 2 copies Counterspell in the center of that hand. That's that orange art.
And is on the play, so has already kept 2. So this must be a good 7. 2 Counterspells and some lands. Maybe good enough.
Yeah, can't say no to that. Can't make out any of the other cards, so not sure if we do have that LL Domri's Call or Obsidian Charmaw. That would be an excellent start. To be able to say, you know, counter a Sylvan Scrying on turn 2, or just LL Domri's Call for the Charmaw.
All right, thanks for all the follows, everybody. I appreciate it. And Apex Gaming appreciates it. You know, they brought Ross and I out for this weekend, and we've been having a blast. But you know who's not having a blast? Joshua Waddell right now.
Hey, he's playing Tron. Going to 5 is no big deal.
Okay, all right. You convinced me. You convinced me. I hate mulliganing so much. So to see Joshua Waddell going to 5, no sweat for the Tron player, I'm sure. Went to 5 multiple times this tournament, I'm sure. Won a couple of them, probably.
Yeah, this is called disciplined mulliganing.
Yep. With game one going as long as it did too, even after a mulligan. Gotta imagine that he's just looking for a good 5, wants a couple of pieces of Tron and a map, or Sylvan Scrying and a Chromatic Star.
This is such a tough spot, though. Both of these players undefeated through the tournament thus far. They are right on the precipice of that regional championship invite, and one of them is going to go home with that so close but so far away feeling.
Yeah.
I think I see both Eldrazi there.
I also see 2 Tron pieces and a map, so I think we're going to put back some Eldrazi, but I think they're the same Tron piece. I think it's 2 mines, but I think with a map, you might just have to keep it and hope for the best.
I also see 2 stars.
Yeah, those can cycle.
So, Wise of Waddell. There's a 3rd star.
Going to lead with the map. If he gets lucky and peels one of the other 2 Tron pieces, he can assemble a turn 3 Tron and then start churning through those Chromatic Stars, looking for action. We know Swick has multiple copies of Counterspell in hand. He's going to be able to prevent the first 2 big threats, but we'll see if Waddell can get online, get his mana base set up in the first few turns.
So Waddell started all 3 games in this match with an Expedition map, and Swick has obliged him by not having the Prismatic ending in either of the first 2 games. Let's see if he has it here in this game, and that would be a big blow to Waddell because that would leave him with only 1 piece of Tron. Now, the fetch for Ketri Triome does suggest to me that there's no Prismatic ending, because I would think you would get a white Triome, then fetch for the Ketria on the second turn.
All right, Breeding Pool play here, untapped. Wonder if he's going to hold up Counterspell, but there's no real reason to other than, there's nothing to be afraid of, I think. So
awkward to fetch Ketri Triome when your next land was Breeding Pool.
Well, maybe he has another land. Maybe only had 1 land.
So that would have been a really risky keep. On the play?
Yeah. Maybe just fetch the wrong land. You never know. We'll see. Gonna go ahead. No fear of Tron on turn 3 because it is 2 Urza's Mines. This is the downside of mulliganing the 5.
Maybe there's no Rogran Triome in Swick's list.
It's possible. It's possible. The mana base is sometimes a little awkward. We have an expressive iteration here. Gonna find the land, so we're gonna be in business. I believe 2 lands were found, 1 in play and then 1 to the hand. And over the next few turns, Swick's going to be able to set up his mana and hold up multiple counter spells.
Okay, not playing Rogran Triome we saw the Bantla before Sparrow's headquarters.
Yeah,
and Ketri Triome, so decides there's only room for 2 Triomes. I'm not going to play any red any Rogran. So,
all right, here comes an Urza's Tower. We have Sylvan Scrying in hand, so we can go Chromatic Star, crack at Sylvan Scrying, go get Tron piece, so we can have turn 4 Tron online. That's a big deal considering we started with 2 mines and nothing else.
Yeah, on 5, turn 4 Tron in a slower matchup, that's okay, but because it was turn 4, Swick had the luxury of playing that expressive iteration, setting up his land drops instead of thinking I needed to hold up a counterspell. Is that an Ulamog?
It is. It cannot be deployed next turn, but that's a hell of a draw.
Yeah, so we'll play the star, we'll crack it for green, then we've got that 3rd Tron land to cast the Sylvan Scrying to get the 3rd piece of the Urza Tron. And Ulamog, that was a card that was put on the bottom from the Mulligans, but the shuffle off of Expedition map, shuffling it back into the deck, letting Waddell find it again.
All right, Swick going to crack here. He's going to go get a white mana source probably. Going to go get that Spar's headquarters, more than likely. Setting up for perfect mana and maybe having access to double counterspell. Looks like he's going to go to Hallowed Fountain so he can cycle Spar's headquarters if drawn.
Yeah, and that could be important with Ren and 6 in the deck.
Yep.
But this Ulamog taking out 2 lands could be really strong for Waddell. It could really hamstring Chase. He'll often be in a situation at that point where he has to choose: do I, cast Expressive Iteration or cast this Abundant Growth and
hold up counterspell,
or hold up that counterspell. So Ulamog, an excellent draw there for Waddell.
Yeah, especially in the face of these multiple counterspells in hand from Swick. The cast trigger is devastating, especially because mana development is so important for this 4-color control deck.
Yeah, I think I see 2 Abundant Growths there, so I wouldn't be surprised to see both of them get cast this turn and then 1 counterspell get left up. And that will make Waddell's decisions with the Ulamog rather easy. It will target the 2 lands that are enchanted by Abundant.
Yeah. Those are the ones that Yorn gets to blink, and those are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Swick knows that there's Tron in hand, so 9 mana available next turn from Waddell. Not quite able to cast the Ulamog, but when it does get cast, it's going to eat 2 lands at least.
Interesting that he would Swick would enchant the Hallowed Fountain, I think I would have gone for enchanting the Breeding Pool, since the Hallowed Fountain provides white that the Captured Triumph doesn't. You can just diversize your mana a little bit better, and is going to get punished by an Ulamog.
All right, we got 1 mana floating. We're gonna go for a Chromatic Star.
Okay, we've decided not to Ulamog.
We're 1 short of Ulamog, costs 10.
Oh, we didn't have 2 towers. We have 2
That's
mines.
right. That's
okay.
right. So we're
So
gonna
we gotta wait 1 more turn.
Yeah, and so
we had 2 towers.
Found a Karn the Great Creator. We're gonna pay the 1 floating. We're gonna play that off Urza's Tower, and that's gonna get hit with a counterspell more than likely.
Yeah, snaps that counterspell off.
All right, we do have 4 mana. Let's see if we have a follow up here. Looks like we're just gonna play a couple of stars. Maybe pass a turn and go for something cool next turn.
That's a green card in hand. It doesn't look like the
it's Force of Vigor.
We've brought in Force of Vigor.
Maybe afraid of something out of the sideboard. Unsure exactly what's going on, but could be useful. All right, Temple Garden untap. We're going to take 2 damage. See if we buy Yorin and then hold up Counterspell, or go for maybe a Ren and 6. Maybe even go for a Eternal Witness.
This Ren and 6 is going to make the Ulamog much well, it said the Ulamog trigger much easier to play through, but is there a Solitude in Chase Swick's hand to actually answer the Ulamog itself?
Well,
I guess we can counter it. Okay.
Yeah, you lose the 2 lands, but you deal with the huge body. That's the problematic part.
I'm actually pretty happy if I'm Waddell anytime I trade a creature for a counterspell. Because there's only so many counterspells in Swick's deck, and you got a lot of planeswalkers.
Yeah, I do believe there's an Eternal Witness over here. Oh, Chase.
Oh, baby.
He's going to go get the
We got to turn 5.
Does he have the Ephemerate? Charm on here, pretty cheap.
Munch, munch, munch.
Gonna bite the land. Gonna keep the Tron deck on its toes.
Most players' instincts here is to hit the tower, because that one can potentially provide 3 mana down the road. But oftentimes it is correct to hit the other non-tower. So in this case, it would be the power plant, because sometimes when the opponent finds a way to tutor for a new land, if they find tower off of it, because that's the one you force them to find, they'll have more mana that turn,
right?
And it can lead to, like, say, casting a Karn the Great Creator when they
or an Oblivion Stone if they only have that 3 mana up.
Or an Oblivion Stone. So it's not as a clean cut as a decision as it might look on the surface.
All right, here's a Charmaw. If he has the Ephemerate, we can blow up 2 lands right now. You have to imagine if he does have the Ephemerate, he's just going to blow up the 2 Urza's Mines and make it a little hard to symbol Tron again, or blows up the 2 unique Tron lands just to keep him really far away from it.
Yeah, that's where I would go, and that would probably end this game, given that Waddell's hand is Force of Vigor, Ulamog. Yep. Both would become virtual bricks.
All right, well, looks like Urza's Tower is going to be the one to shoot down. That's one that people are usually pretty aggro about. We're going to crack these 2 chromatics right now, and we can use that to just cycle now.
I don't know how I necessarily feel about that, because now if we draw Sylvan Scrying or Ancient Stirrings, we can't cast them.
Yeah.
Well, there's the other Eldrazi.
We have a map, so we can go crack it, go get a Tron land, and play it, but we can't quite cast anything this turn because the tower is going to be found. So 3 mana. This is exactly the play you were talking about. So if Waddell was able to draw Oblivion Stone, this would be a punish for Chase Swick. So for those of you watching at home, make sure to take note. Ross Merriam with the heads up line there, and Chase Swick not getting punished by it, but could have been.
Yeah.
Karn the Great Creator in hand, a couple Eldrazi, and a Force of Vigor. We'll see if Chase Swick.
So it doesn't seem like there's an Ephemerate, but this Charmaw is a 4/4, so that is a clock, and we do have a count. Ooh, there's a Fairy, so we can bounce Charmaw now. So attack for 4, play Fairy, bounce it.
Yeah, and then cast it again and blow up the tower again.
Yep. I'm in.
All right. Here comes the Charmaw.
Maybe you do that next turn and leave up the counterspell the entire time. Just in case, you blow up the tower and they just draw the 3rd one and they have a free turn. But right now, Chase doesn't know that the Ulamog is in hand, so any land drawn lets him cast the Ulamog.
Right.
And could take away the ability to, re-bounce the Charmaw. Looks like Chase is playing it a little closer to the vest here. He's going to want to make 2 more land drops, be able to play Teferi, bounce the Charmaw, recast it, and have Counterspell up.
All right,
but not letting Waddell know that that's what's up.
Waddell here with a draw has a handful of gas, but peels a Karn Liberated. Has Force of Vigor that can be cast. I'm interested to see what he goes for here. Karn the Great Creator can't be okay. Karn Liberated might just bait the counterspell.
Was that new card a Walking Ballista?
No. Nope, it was Karn Liberated.
It's Karn Liberated, okay.
Yeah, so his hand is Ulamog, Kozilek, Karn A, Karn B, and a Force of Vigor.
Yeah, so still only one spell available, so I imagine any spell he casts meets the second counter spell from Swick, and next turn he loses Tron.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually a punishing case because that Karn is something he could have cast even without Tron active, just by drawing any fourth land.
I'm curious what Josh Waddell was afraid of with the Force of Vigor. Maybe Blood Moon or something. I know that these 4-color decks can sometimes play that out of the sideboard. Even though they're 4 colors, they often have abundant growth and basics to fetch all the time. So maybe he's so afraid of the Blood Moon that he just went for the protective element, and now he just has a dead card in hand that would have been better served as anything, including just any land. But no green sources to speak of, so couldn't even cast it. Doesn't have a green card either. Only one card to be able to be played this turn because he's only got 9 mana. The Karn the Great Creator gets counterspelled. And we're going back to Chase Swick's side.
Things looking good for Swick here. I think this Obsidian Charmar is going to put Waddell in a tough spot. You just blow up the tower again, and even if he rips the 3rd tower, he's still only stuck on 9 mana with 2 10-drops in hand. So is going to need several good top decks in a row to get back into the game from there. And now you're sitting on, it's like 7 mana, 8 with a land drop. You're going to draw a card with the Fairy. You got a million great draws in your deck. Ephemerate will just end it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now we're just cruising. This 4-color deck is just firing on all cylinders. Looks like we're going to go for a 4-mana card here. Maybe.
Oh, I think they might be, using Otawara on the Charmon.
I thought Otawara was only opponent stuff, but maybe you can target your own stuff. Let's get Otawara on the screen to make sure. Maybe it's just any target artifact, creature, planeswalker.
Yeah, or anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we're going to play the Charmon again. We're going to use it to bounce and blow up a Tron land. Taking away the tower here.
This is reasonable because if you're not going to use the excess mana, might as well do the 4-mana thing first. And then next turn you can do the 3-mana thing and have even more mana available depending upon what you draw.
Well, if you notice, Ross, the Wrenn and 6 just brought back the Otawara, so we can literally just do it again every single turn. Attack, blow up your land. Attack, blow up your land.
That's another good reason to do it.
And so the Oblivion Stone off the top, to me, signifies that Josh Waddell is locked out of the game. The other Tron piece is going to get blown up, and then you're never going to be able to get Tron again because you're going to lose a land every single turn for the rest of the game.
And Charmar gets to attack before you bounce it, so I think this is locked up now for Chase Swick, and he will be our second qualifier for the regional championship in Atlanta.
Yeah, and be moving on to the finals where he's going to be playing against Golgari Yawgmoth for a prize purse of $500 to first place. Second place still not too shabby at $300. Both players receiving an invite to DreamHack Atlanta in November and making their way to the regional championship to try to win that big cash purse. Obsidian Charmar comes in for 3. We're going to see the same sequence as last turn. We have the soft lock here. Otawara bounces the Charmar blows up the land, and Wrenn and 6 brings Otawara back to hand.
Have established a loop.
All right, and the way that Tron works these days, there's no Explorer. There's no way for him to really get out from under this and play 2 lands in a turn. So if he starts the turn with 1 Tron piece, there's no way he's ever hitting the second Tron piece.
Yep. Needed to hit it that turn. And even if he did complete Tron that turn, he would have still been only on 9 mana with both of his 10-drops in hand.
Right.
So I really just don't think he had a draw there.
Unfortunate for Waddell, put up a hell of a fight against this 4-color control deck. You know that you want to think that this is going to be the matchup where Tron thrives, against this mid-range stuff.
If we hit Swick brought back a fetch land there instead of the Otawara. If we hit the 1 relic, we could end the loop.
All right.
Then he sells us the Teferi, and
that's going to do it. Josh Waddell extends the hand, taps the mat, and what a sick marathon match. Those 2 players playing almost an hour-long game 1, a 5-minute game 2, and then a breezy game 3, just around 15 minutes, where the Obsidian Charmar plus a little bit of tricky bounce stuff, was able to take it down and lock him out with those expensive cards in hand. Well played from both sides, and we'll just have to see what happens here in the finals.